Hey everyone, Joseph here, and today I wanted to talk about this guy. It's the Jinbei EF-150. It's a 5500K color, 150 watt dimmable continuous LED light that I recently picked up for my little studio here, and I wanted to share my first impressions on the light since there really isn't that much information out there, especially when it comes to Jinbei's LED series of lights. And I wanted to share why I thought this light is a good budget-friendly option at only $250 and the next step up from those makeshift light setups like I've been using over the past year. So I recently watched Caleb Pike's video comparing the Falcon Eye 30BT, something along those lines, and the Aputure 300D. And although he does a great job comparing those two lights, the unfortunate truth for guys like me is that they are way out of reach when it comes to price. By the way, if you haven't seen any of Caleb's videos, check out his channel. I'll link it over here somewhere. He's been instrumental in helping me make some of the decisions I've made over the past year when picking up new gear. And one of the many things that Caleb does really well when reviewing gear is he combines his technical insight and his with practical applications, all based on his experience and jobs that he's done in the past, which is really great. But often the gear he reviews is more in line with someone who might already be making money creating this type of content and may have a budget and the need for higher end gear that can withstand travel and, gig to gig. But, let's face it, guys like me who are doing this for fun or who just might be starting out might not be prepared to drop $750 on a new Aputure 120D Mark II that everybody is raving about. It's just not in the cards. In fact, up until now, I wasn't even willing to drop the $250 on a real light. All of my videos, including this one, are shot using one of those corn cob style bulbs, LED bulbs stuffed into like a very cheap 30-inch square, softbox. Now I get it, quality often determines price and vice versa, so it's really hard to say how long this light will last. And to be fair, I've never even owned or handled an Aputure 120D, so I can't make any real comparisons on quality, but I do have a very robust strobe setup from my studio photography days. So I do have a frame of reference when it comes to how things should feel and respond and react and so forth. So let's take a closer look at this light. You'll have to forgive me. I'll make some references to the Aputure 120D only because I know most of who are watching are familiar with this light, even though I've never owned one, but I think it'll be helpful. In the box, we have the light. We have the power cord, the protective LED cover, and this unit does ship with an 8-inch reflector, but unfortunately it does not come with a case. Right off the bat, you'll notice that the main light housing is all plastic. It feels solid. It doesn't feel cheap like many of the other off brands that I've seen in Adorama or B&H or just even browsing online. The stand mount is metal, and I really appreciate that the clamping handle is as big as it is. Provides lots of torque when clamping the light down. Up front is the LED panel and metal heatsink. Based on what I've seen online, most of Jinbei's lights have the standard Bowens mount. I'm not sure if they all have the little locking feature, but over here we have the release tab to unlock any modifiers that you might have attached to the front of the light. On the back of the light, we have some very basic controls, simple and clean. It's got a small but very clear LED screen. The dial adjusts the power level from 10 to 100%. Unfortunately, it doesn't go down to 0. The button in the middle cycles through output percentage and the channel for the wireless remote. It does not come with the wireless remote, FYI. We have the all-important on and off switch, and the input for the power cord just above that is the built-in fuse. So if you've been eyeing one of these Aputure lights or something similar, you'll immediately see the difference with this Jinbei light. The most obvious difference is that unlike the Aputure lights, you do not have that separate ballast controller brick that you're familiar with the Aputure lights. You won't have to deal with that. Having the controller separate from the light probably has a lot to do with the quality and how robust the Aputure lights are. But for me, in my small space, not having that large brick to sort out is actually kind of a bonus. The other major difference is that the Aputure light can be powered by V-mount battery packs, whereas this version of the Jinbei EF-150 cannot. However, Jinbei does offer a battery-powered version of this light. It's got HD in its name, but it'll set you back a few $100s more, which nearly doubles the price that I paid for this unit. Probably the single most important part of the light is, of course, the light output. The literature claims, I think, 18,000 lumens with a life expectancy of over 100,000 hours. What does that all mean? It means that it's a huge step up from this 60-watt corncob bulb I've been using over the past year. In my application here, with all things being equal, I ended up turning down the Jinbei light to about 40% capacity, which works out to about 60 watts, which is more or less the rating of my corncob bulb, which is 60 watts. One thing to note is that both the Jinbei and my corncob bulb have built-in fans. Jinbei claims their fan is only 18 decibels. I'm not sure what the standard is for measuring decibels, especially when it comes to how far away. But I can tell you that both the Jinbei and the corncob bulb fans are audible in my videos if you listen closely. I think the Jinbei is just a little bit quieter. But that may have to do more with the placement of my light and my external mic. You know, it's hard to say, but it is something that you should consider when, you know, looking at this light. So where does this light fit in? You know, I'll say up front that this light is no Aputure 120 killer. You know, I'll say that. Even though both claim to be right around 150, 140 watts. But as a budget-friendly option, this is really hard to beat. Overall, I think the quality is good. The ease of use is great. And of course, the light output is a big jump from my old setup. Of course, the Aputure would check all of those boxes as well. But, you know, at 3 times the price, it's really hard to say if it's justifiable. Will the internals of the Jinbei hold up over time? You know, it's hard to say, but the output and overall feel of the light does give me some confidence and makes this light a great next step up in the lighting food chain and should save me from the hassles of the corncob bulb setup that I've been doing for the past year. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful to those of you looking for a budget LED light setup. I'll keep adding more content in the future, so please be sure to subscribe, hit that thumbs up button if you thought this video was helpful, and if you have any comments, please post it in the comments section below. And thanks again for watching, everybody, and take care until the next video.